Hello, families, and welcome to our back to school presentation. My name is Jackie Ahrens, and I'm the interim principal here at Wolfpit School. And of course, a very familiar face, Dr. Sarah Jane Henry, our site director, will be also moderating with our presentation this evening. So if you noticed when you came into the room, your camera was turned off. And I just want to let you know that we are recording this presentation for families who couldn't join us this evening. So I turned them off purposely so that you would know that it's being recorded. So if you do not want to be recorded, please make sure that you maintain your camera off. Additionally, we are going to be, I'll be sharing with you lots of information, and at the end of it, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. So as I'm going through the presentation, because I understand it's a lot of information, utilize the chat down below. In the chat, you can type out all of your questions as we're going, and Dr. Henry is going to take a look, group them, and moderate them so that everything is answered. And in addition, if we don't get to answer every single question, we'll make sure that we get the information out to families, because I'm also aware that this evening at 6 o'clock, we're going to have our middle school presentations, and then also at 7, we're going to have our high school presentations. So I understand that families with children in multiple buildings will have different meetings to attend, and I don't want anybody to miss anything. So we're going to keep an eye on the time, and we're going to make sure that we leave some time for Q&A, and Dr. Henry will chime in once we reach that point. So please do utilize the chat. Please know that we are recording this to place up on our website, our Facebook pages a little bit later. So I just want you to know that it is being recorded, and that if you have your camera on, you will be recorded, okay? All right, so let's get started. So the purpose of our meeting tonight is to make sure that parents have a better understanding of how school will be a little bit different under the conditions of the pandemic. We'll talk a bit about the health and safety of your child at school, and we'll talk a bit about a day in the life of a Wolfpit student in person and virtual. So I want you to think about the frame for how we're preparing for all of our students to come back to school. In terms of a safer return to school, we really needed to think about how we were cohorting the students. We needed to think about social distancing, face coverings, screenings and health monitorings, and of course, our operational or logistical plans like arrivals and dismissals. So we're going to touch upon all of these areas over the course of this presentation this evening. So let's start with cohorting. At this point, all of our students will be clustered by grade level. Additionally, your students will be grouped in classes. So basically, they will be interacting with a small number of students every day. Really, just the peers that are in their class. And that includes their special classes, gym classes, and recess. So the students will remain in those groups for most of the day. So that limits their exposure to multiple groups of students. We're also doing reduced pullouts. So instead of teachers teaching small groups of students, multi-grade level, we're really going to be pushing in. So your teachers will still be providing services, but they will go directly into the classroom versus pulling multi-grade levels of students into a smaller classroom. And then our specials will be scheduled on a 2-week rotation. So what that means is, let's say in kindergarten, we'll have gym, and we'll have that for about a 2-week calendar period. And then we'll move on to our next special. Maybe our next special will be art. So all of the specials will be formally put into a calendar so that, again, we're limiting the mixing of the different groups and cohorts. So some of our proactive health and safety protocols. So of course, social distancing. We are entering in what our district is calling the orange level. which is we are looking at a reduced capacity of students. So that means that we will be in smaller classroom sizes versus our standard class size of 22 and 24. The classrooms will be arranged so that all students can be 6 feet apart. And we're going to maintain that distance as we travel through the building and also as we engage in gym, in recess. So we're making sure that there's enough room in our classrooms to have students spread out, but that there's still room also for students to do, to take mass breaks and all of those things. So we're making sure that the classroom is ready for students, and we're expanding classrooms to make sure that that happens. We're limiting their transitions throughout the day, and we're also looking at, and I'll get into it in a moment when we talk a little bit more about arrivals and dismissals. We're also going to be utilizing face coverings. So students should be expected to come to school or come to the bus wearing a mask. It's what's really worked in our community, in our state, and we're going to continue that good work at school. So students will wear face coverings. If there is some reason, a medical reason why your child cannot, then we will talk about that and how we are going to work with that, and making sure that everyone is aware and making sure that we can still take health and safety precautions. Personal hygiene emphasis. So this will be a big deal for us this year. We're really going to train students on germ awareness. We're going to talk about proper hygiene. We're going to talk about how to properly wash your hands. We are adding additional equipment in the building to make sure that there are hand washing stations like readily available for all students. So certainly we're going to talk about an increase in hand washing. Students will wash their hands when they come to school. Students will wash their hands certainly before snacks and lunch and after activities. So there's going to be an increased amount and frequency of hand washing at school. And then also just in general germ awareness through multiple disciplines between our school nurse, between our PE and health teacher, between just their classroom teacher. So students are going to have a greater awareness of how to protect themselves and keep themselves safe and keep themselves from spreading germs. In addition, we're going to have what's called a daily wellness screening. There is a screener that parents are going to complete each day. And right now that screener is being revised because, as you know, the safety and health guidelines are revised all of the time. So we are working on a new updated form. So if your child was involved with summer school, you'll be very familiar to the process. It's very, very similar. I think I have a copy here for you to see the one that we used this summer to give you a sense of what that looks like. Let me just make it a little bit bigger for you. So these questions help to identify if a student has possibly been exposed to COVID. So right now, this will be a daily checklist, and it's so very important. Every child must have this checklist, and we're going to send them home paper copies every day. And as you are well aware, as you move through the community, and if your child participated in any camps, these things have been done religiously throughout the summer, and it has helped us to keep our numbers down. So we're going to be utilizing something very similar to this that parents will fill out each day. In addition, in terms of illness, of course, keeping everybody healthy and safe is going to be a community effort. If your child is experiencing general illness symptoms, then we ask that you keep your child home, just like you would on any normal school day. If your child has a fever, if your child has a stomach ache, we're asking that you keep your child home for the health and safety of everyone. If you believe that your child may be experiencing COVID symptoms, we also have a set of checklists that you can utilize and kind of activate that protocol. So again, keeping kids home when they're not feeling good, and also knowing that the school nurse is here. So if there is something, someone's creates a need, all of those things, we've got that covered. But if a child is feeling sick, then it's not the time to send them to school. Additional safety protocols, we are doing additional cleaning and disinfecting of high frequency areas. So yes, we're going to be cleaning bathrooms a lot more frequently. We are certainly going to be cleaning handrails a lot more frequently. Things that kids touch on a regular basis are going to get additional cleaning. There's going to be additional cleaning provided so that we can keep these areas clean and safe for kids. We are having HEPA air filters installed in all of our classrooms that are UV grade to help, again, with air quality in the room and ensuring that we're doing the best we can to keep everyone safe. We are also, of course, not having visitors that started before, but we are going to continue to not have visitors in the building, again, to reduce the number of germs that we are bringing into the environment. So some of these protocols, of course, are going to impact the way that we do our regular daily school operations. So things are processes like arrival and dismissal, what we look like, and then how we manage our day are going to be a little bit different. So in terms of arrival and dismissal, I want to talk a little bit first about the buses. So when I'm going to bring up a little slide here, we have put into some safety measures to mitigate the chances of COVID spread utilizing the buses. So students will need to wear a mask at their bus stop, and parents who are waiting with students should also wear their mask. Students will wear their mask while riding the bus. Students will load the bus from back to front. They will sit in assigned seats, and they will unload the bus front to back when we get to the school. And then, of course, utilize the drop-off locations assigned to the bus students. So again, students are expected to wear their masks at all times. And while they're traveling on the bus, while they're waiting for the bus, and any parent or guardian who's waiting with the student at the bus stop should also wear their mask. We are going to be exploring different staggered arrival and dismissal opportunities so that we can limit the amount of students coming in together so that we can avoid large groups of students getting together. So just to give you a sense, but you do not have to memorize this. Everything is going to come home in a nice, neat package by grade level, so you don't have to. It's just included to give you a sense of how we are utilizing different entry points. Some students will be walking around our garden path and into their classrooms. Some students will be walking into the main entrance, and we are even exploring the idea of a separate K-1 drop-off. So there are going to be different setup for arrival and dismissal, but everything will be specifically laid out for parents in the Welcome to School letter, which will be going out on the 24th. In terms of our physical layout, we are going to look a little bit different. So we really want to give students the opportunity to have some movement in their rooms. So we are limiting the number of students in one classroom, and we definitely have an advantage here at Wolfpit because we have some double classrooms. Some of them have accordion doors that we've been able to open up. So we've been allowed to have groups of students together in a space that allows them to separate by 6 feet. So there will be some different classroom layouts that we will inform parents of, and all of that will be in your letter, so you'll know exactly who your teacher is and what room you'll be working out of. And of course, in terms of our classroom operations, with social distancing and no material sharing, the classroom's going to look a little bit different. But we are now planning for those kind of activities. We are creating small boxes of supplies for each child. We are, our district has ordered math manipulatives for each child. So we are creating small individual sets of supplies for students so that they can have their own individual set, and we don't have to worry about material sharing. We will also be having meals in our classroom, and of course, practicing all health and safety protocols. We'll be washing our hands. We'll be covering our desk with a paper towel. There will be a receptive kind of container, a paper bag or such for their mask so that students can take their mask off in a sanitary way, keep their mask clean, enjoy their lunch, and then put the mask back on, washing hands, washing tables. So the students will have, their class together. They'll have lunch in their classroom. We're doing pre-packaged, sealed. There will be no sharing, open cafeteria style dining. So it's a very limited interaction, but of course we'll still have snacks. We'll still be eating lunch. Kids will still have time to socialize during lunch. All of those things that have always been there will be there in a very safe way. So I wanted to kind of illustrate for you a day in the life of a second grade student at Wolfpit who is participating in person. So let me see if I can pull that up. Make that slide come up for you. Okay, move this to the side a little bit. Okay. So as we look at the second grade classroom, we can see things like second grade. Students will meet their teacher at the upstairs door near the garden. Students will provide teachers with their daily health screener. Students will eat their breakfast at their desk. Students will wash their hands prior to and after eating. So as students come into the door, we collect their checklist, they wash their hands, they have their breakfast, and then we get the day started with the ensemble as we have last year. And if you take a look, and this you'll be receiving in your packet also, we've called out—
Mrs. Aaron, sorry to interrupt. We can't see the visual right now on the screen. We're still looking at a day in the life.
Okay, let's see here.
The graphic isn't coming up.
How about this? Anything here?
Not so far.
Okay. Okay, I'll explain it. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back to so you see this now, correct? Do you see the slide that says a day in the life of a second grade student at Wolfpit?
Yes, I see the slide, but it's not the visual that we've
Okay,
come
I'll
up.
try one more time, and if we can't get it to pop up, it's okay. Let's see. Okay, anything here? Is it visible now?
No.
All right.
I have it up on my screen. Would you like me to try and share it or no?
Sure. Let me just stop the share here. And sure, we can pop it up. Forgive us for the technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
Let's see if mine will show up.
Okay.
Can people see that? You can see that?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, everyone can see that now. Yes.
So if you want to walk them through this, and then I'll stop sharing and you can go back.
Sure.
Thank you.
So let's take a look. So the arrival was what I was talking about, where the students will be kind of entering the classroom a different way so that we can use multiple entry points instead of a single entry point. And then students will be washing their hands, and then they will eat breakfast, and then they will wash their hands again and get ready for their school day. And as we journey through the day, you can see that there are different things that we've called out so that parents are aware of the health and safety precautions that we are taking with kids, but we're also making sure that instruction still looks like it looked last year a little bit, you know, but we're doing it in a safe way. Recess and lunch, we're still having recess. We'll be outside for recess as long as the weather allows it. Students will stay with their class for lunch, and then they will be taken outside like they always have been. At this point, we are not using the playscape, but we will be identifying different areas that students will filter through for recess, that they can play different games that we have set up, and it will be more organized instead of, we all know that kids will resort to tag if you leave them to it. So we're gonna teach them games that are really safe to play in a socially distant manner so that students can still enjoy the socialization of recess, being outside with their peers, that kind of thing. So we are still going to be having all of those things. And again, we tried to call out some things that parents might be interested to know about how we're dealing with as we go through the day. So all of you will be receiving this in the packet that we that we're mailing out to you on the 24th. Okay, SJ, we're gonna move back into the presentation.
Okay, I stopped sharing, so I think you should be able to
Awesome, thank you.
Zoom.
Yep. So I'm not gonna try since it didn't work the first time, but we also prepared a slide for remote learning students, as we have about, and I'll get into the numbers momentarily, about 25% of our students are remote learning this year. So we also prepared a day in the life slide for that, which actually honestly looks exactly like the first slide that you saw with an in-person student. What we're really trying to do for our students who are remote learners is to ensure that, one, they feel a part of the action. So we are doing what's called synchronous learning. So that means as their students are learning it with their teachers, the students at home will be learning it with their teachers. The teachers would be doing a hybrid version of instruction so that some of the things that they do in terms of activities will be online activities and some of them will be offline activities. So we realize that, you know, young students staying on a computer for 6 hours is hard. But the bottom line is we're looking to integrate moments where students can kind of have a non-tech moment and moments when students can still feel a part of the class. We are going to be looking at including ensemble, social emotional support for students at home. We are going to be looking at one-on-one time with their teacher at some point during the day, during the week. So we are looking at ways that we can ensure that our students who are remote learning still feel, one, like they are a part of the entire group and that they have their time with their teacher, and that they still are experiencing all of our specials that we offer, art and music and theater. All of those things will still be captured for the students who are remote learning as well. So it is a working process, of course, but we are doing synchronous learning. So the students will be able to see exactly what's going on, participate in the lessons, and stay right along with their classroom peers. So some additional COVID-19 protocols that all parents should be aware of as we are returning to in-person learning. So school day illness. So when we have a student that is with us that we feel might be showing COVID symptoms, we have a particular specific protocol to follow. So the student is going to be immediately assessed by the school nurse. Each school has now a fully operational isolation room, just for these reasons. If a student is suspected of a COVID symptom, the nurse will assess. We will immediately begin this protocol, and the student will be isolated with an adult who will stay with the child the entire time until their parent arrives. The parent will be called immediately and asked to come pick up the child and then to follow up with your medical doctor for evaluation. Once we get into that next layer of, you know, is this a positive test? Is it a negative test? That's where we have to make some decisions about what is going on with all of the students. So again, immediately, this school nurse protocol is activated. Our medical advisor for the Norwalk Public Schools, the health department, and the superintendent of schools will collaborate on isolation/closure. So what that means is, depending on all of the variables, all of the contact tracing. And that's why it's so crucial for us to understand who is in your child's room and when and at what frequency and what time. All of it is very crucial to understanding whether or not the school has to make a decision to close down for a couple of days, a week for cleaning, what's going on, who has to quarantine. All of that information is funneled through these specific protocol so that we know who to notify, what to do, and it's all pretty much instantaneous. It happens very quickly. And I also put in the CDC guidelines about exposure, just to be clear about some of the work that goes into determining whether or not a person has been exposed. So again, the exposure equals 15 minutes within 6 feet of an infected person without a mask. So one of those proactive strategies that we're using is keeping the masks on, and also the social distancing, because it has really impacted and slowed down the spread of this virus. In terms of return to school after a symptomatic case, if your child is sent home and your child has to go through testing, how do you come back to school and integrate back into school? So following a positive test, all students, and this would be the same for staff member, must have medical clearance to return to school. So a doctor's note has to clear the person to return. Remote learning would be provided during the absence from school. So any student that is home sick, or any student that has to be home quarantining, will be provided remote learning. And that's why we want that synchronous remote learning environment. so that your child doesn't miss a day and that your child can stay with their peers and with their teacher. So it keeps the class together, no matter if you are at home or if you're at school. And if we have to, as a school, go virtually, the same kids will stay together with their teachers. So we still can build that community feel. So I want to go into also, I want to show you some documents that I'm going to send to you, or they're kind of lengthy, so I'll email them to you. Some CDC guidelines so that you can see that the school is following the recommended guidelines on every level. So these protocols set forth by the CDC have, if this happens at home, if you're at school, what should happen? So they're very, very specific protocols that are going to be, they will go into effect immediately so that students and parents are very aware of what it is. And again, we are helping kids understand about the virus a bit here, so they'll understand, you know, why we have to do the things we do. We'll make sure to explain it to students so they're very well aware. So this particular chart is about an individual who does not have symptoms but had exposure. And that goes back to that definition I talked to you about, what is exposure. So we are trying to mitigate that and limit that by always keeping our masks on and by staying 6 feet apart. There's another guideline on an individual who has COVID-19 symptoms and has been in close contact with someone who is COVID-19 positive. So again, the protocols are very clear. They tell us exactly what to do, and the school is taking it very seriously. The nurses have already begun training on these protocols so that we are ready on day one with what to do. Teachers will be trained on these protocols and the symptoms that we're looking for so that we are ready to go on day one when students enter the building. As you know, we have a later start date. We are starting now 1 day later to have additional days of training for all of our staff. So these are very important days, not only to talk about instructional, but also to talk about protocols for health and safety of all students. So with a lot of our safety and health measures discussed so far, I really want to talk about what's exciting about our school year, because we are so super excited to have the kids back in the building and our staff. So here's kind of where we, how we fell after our reopening survey. So as you can see, the face-to-face model is about 75% of students. So of the students that we have at Wolfpit, 25% are remote and 75% are in person. So here are some interesting, important reminders, and one of them just came today. So our healthier start time is here. So it really doesn't have a major impact on our building because we had a new start time. However, our start time for the day is 9:15, and now our school day technically was supposed to end at 3:50, but we are going to be shaving that back 15 minutes because, as the superintendent, Dr. Estrella, mentioned in our town hall meetings with parents, that we are trying to carve out some time for professional learning for teachers, because what we're asking teachers to do is very difficult. And we need time to, one, support them, and two, collaborate with each other in a safe way. So we are going to be carving that time off of the day and putting it in use after school hours. So our school day starts at 9:15 and it ends at 3:35. And in your welcome packets, you will be getting the exact arrival dismissal time for your child. As I mentioned previously, September 1st is the first day of school, and there is going to be a staggered entry for K students. So on September 1st, half of our students will be coming in, and then on September 2nd, the other half will come in. That way, the students who for their very first time are coming to a school building, they get an opportunity to really connect with their teacher, connect with each other, and have that moment and really kind of understand the new change that's going to happen from them this year. And then, of course, I've mentioned a couple times, our welcome letters and class information will be going out on Monday, August 24th. And in that, you will also have a copy of the health checklist screener that you will be completing for your child every day. Our before and after school program is still going to be up and running. So parents who are utilizing this service can continue to utilize this service. It will start at 7 o'clock in the morning and go till 9 right before school. And then we'll transition the students into their classrooms. And then it'll start directly after school until 6 p.m. So information with regard to the before and after school program that is also run by the Carver program in Norwalk will be available to you on our website and in the welcome packet, so that if you would like to register your child for this program, that you can do that. We are going to be following the same guidelines. Carver has already sent information over. They are following the NPS district guidelines on health and safety. The kids will be cohorted by their grade levels. So we are, again, in every aspect, looking to ensure that the work that you've been doing at home in keeping your family safe, that we're going to be doing that work here at school. And here are some of our fall 2020 calendar highlights. And I wanted to pull out for you some of the no school days so that you can have a sense of what's happening. Of course, it's on the district calendar. Of course, you'll be getting it in the welcome packets, but I wanted to just call out those days just so that you know that we have some upcoming no school days. We have some early dismissal days that we will be looking at for conferences and other professional learning days. So at this point, I wanted to save some time for parent questions, because I do understand that, you know, there are a lot of concerns, and I'm so grateful to the parents that have emailed me, because they really, those questions helped us to put our plan together. So if at any time you have a question, please email, call, we're here, and we're happy to respond. And I try to get right back to you with an answer, although sometimes the answers are always ever changing. So let's start with some of the questions that have come up, and Dr. Henry is going to help me with that, and I will get right into the responses.
Okay, Ms. Ahrens, one of the questions that came up that was interesting, that I wasn't quite sure the answer of, is if one of the children at home, if you have multiple kids at home and one of the children isn't feeling well, do both siblings need to stay home?
Okay, so that goes back to the illness question. And really at this point, if you feel that your child has COVID-19 symptoms, and we will provide you with that list of what that looks like, and there is a slight chance that one child has it and the other child is exposed to that child, you keep them both home until your doctor clears you. So it's really a safety precaution to be proactive about. But when we have a family, and we've all seen the cases where one family member gets it and then another one has it, some get it, some don't. So right now we have to err on the side of caution to keep the whole community safe. So if it is an illness that has nothing to do with COVID, then the other child can come to school. If it's something where, you know, I have a toothache, that's not COVID, the other child can come to school. But if it's something that is similar to a flu symptom, which, you know, could be a stomach issue, it could also be a cough issue, then those are the ones that we're going to ask you to keep the child home, both children, to be safe, call the doctor, and then go from there and alert the school. I think it's so important for all of us to stay in communication. So you would call the school nurse right away. The nurse would then activate and tell you exactly what to do. You do not have to do this by yourself. Like I said, it's a team and community effort.
One of the questions to clarify is, do all virtual learners have to keep the computer on all day?
Okay, so we are working on this, and I've already started kind of putting those ideas out to my internal leadership team, a core group of teachers that we work on to solve some of these challenges. And I am concerned about it as well. I don't want students on the computer 6 hours straight. So there definitely will be some mindfulness breaks, some mask, like for the kids inside, but mindfulness breaks for the students at home. There's going to be some one-on-one time. There will be some opportunities for students to turn off, log off, and come back in. So we're looking at opportunities for students to be fully engaged in the class, but while we're doing, like, let's say an independent work session. So a teacher may start a class and start by giving some information, and then students may have the opportunity to work independently. And so they'll do that for 15 or 20 minutes. And then, so that's a moment where they can log off. And then they come back in and maybe a virtual group is collaborating. And then finally the whole group is sharing out. So we're looking at different ways to run what is now being referred to as the concurrent classroom or the high flex classroom. It's when you have students face-to-face and students virtually, and how to keep both groups fully engaged and to make sure that, you know, in terms of the technology, that students don't have like an abundance too much and have lost interest because it's too much. Oop, you're muted, SJ.
Sorry, the question came up, will parents be able to escort their children to their classroom on the first day of school?
Okay, this has been a very big question, and I will tell you, we have been really busy over the last couple of weeks working together with our district transportation director and also the Department of Public Works to try and devise a plan for our Ks and 1s to be kind of dropped off right at their classroom, and especially the Ks. I think at this point, the older students, the parents will not be able to walk their child to their classroom, but we'll have plenty of people supervising the parking lot and the garden path along to their classroom. But we're looking at a potential of K drop off right at their classroom. So fingers crossed, or if you know someone at DBW, just kidding. You know, we are looking for a way to make that happen because I know that that's really crucial. So we're working on that.
Okay, so the question, one of the other questions is, if a child is being tested for COVID, sometimes the results take 4 or 5 days. What is the process that the school will take during that time? Will the class be shut down, or do we wait for results?
Okay, so that goes back to that protocol that I showed you, and I can go back for a little bit. Let me go back in the slides so I can pull that up while I'm referencing it. Both of them are very similar. So again, if you look here, there's a back and forth moment about, will the child be tested? So if the student's at school, let's say the student was at school, students should remain masked, adhere to strict physical distancing, be assessed by the school nurse, stay in the isolation room until picked up, consult a healthcare provider, and get tested. If symptoms, and then it goes into if. So let me go this way. Individual test positive, remain home, except to get medical care, monitor symptoms, notify the school, notify personal close contacts, assist public health and the school in contact tracing efforts. Stay in self-isolation for at least 10 days since the onset of symptoms and until at least 24 hours have passed with no fever. Again, the key is to give us a call. If it happens at home, you call us from home and you say, this is what's happening. If it happens at school, we're gonna be with you every step of the way anyways. We will take the guesswork out of what to do because our nurse will tell you exactly what to do, when your child should come back, when your child should remain in quarantine or isolation. And also your medical professional will too, because again, we are working with the health department. So it is a group effort in trying to decide who, how long, when can they return. So, and that's what's really great about these protocols. It really accounts for everything. And this is just a small snippet, but I'm going to send you a larger document in email because you don't want to print it. It's a little bit long, but it's a nice reference guide if you just want to check something out. But the key will be the contact. If you're at home and this is happening, you call the school nurse. We will walk you through the process. If it's at school, we will call you and we will still stay in touch the whole time and we will walk you through the process. Oh, you're muted.
I keep doing that, sorry. In the interest of time, I'm going through the questions and I'll keep answering as many as I can get to. One of the main overarching questions is supplies. What will children be allowed to bring to school? Will they be required to bring their Chromebook backwards and forwards? As part of supplies, masks, is the school providing masks? And what will the kids be able to bring home and bring to school each day?
Okay, so of course this is going to be one of those ideas that is, flexible and changing. But so let me start with the mask. Students are expected to come to school wearing a mask. So we do ask that you provide your child a mask. If the child gets to the bus stop with no mask, I believe that there will be additional masks there for the student to get, but it's the expectation is that the family is providing the child with a mask. But we will always have spares. Things happen, they get dirty, they fall, things happen. So we will have spares here. In terms of materials, so students will have to bring their device back and forth, but we're really trying to limit the amount of stuff that comes back and forth right now. But again, think about, we can sanitize, we can wipe something off, that's fine. We are going to try to do as much as possible as we can with digital, but there is going to be paper. There's still going to be, especially for the younger learners, there's going to be paper. So you will get more information on the materials piece of it, but yes, we certainly know that kids most likely will have some type of backpack. Again, like I mentioned, we're getting instructional supplies for students so that they have their own individual stuff. So it's really just about wiping things off. A pencil box is easy to wipe off and put in a bag, those kinds of things. So more specific information will be given as we start the school year, but we do know that students are going to be bringing their devices back and forth. And as a matter of fact, we have new devices for our K-2 students that will be deployed in the first week of school. They're touchscreen laptops, Dell touchscreen laptops, which will be much easier for students to use because some of the apps that have come out over the course of this are just amazing, and students can use their touchscreens to use them. So the bottom line is we do know there's going to be some back and forth, but we're going to try to limit it. We are doing individual materials for students. But there is going to be some limited back and forth.
Dr. Ahrens, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
I think I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm in my car. My daughter is going to be attending first grade.
Yes.
And I know it was kindergarten, walking them to the class and everything like that. Just as a parent, as far as the first day, are you going to be trying to look in? I have a two-part question. Are you going to be trying to look into walking them to class, or how's that going to go? The who, what, when, where, why? Like everything is like brand new. They only went to school up until March. And
right.
For me, I did call the school. I want to, as a parent, I'm sure many others do, want to see it. What's the setup? What is the day? I saw a little bit of the other Zooms, what the day was structured like. Are they with the teacher half a day learning and then they're virtual in the classroom? Is that how it's going?
So I think I hear two parts to your question. The first I'll say is we are exploring the ideas of parent drop off, but at this point there are no parents in the building because we do have to limit the amount of exposure from bringing a variety of people from a variety of different backgrounds into that room. So we have to be protected of that. Just like we isolated and kind of stayed with our own inner circle, that's what we're doing for the kids. And I think those are the same guidelines that have been going on all summer long. So there won't be an opportunity for parents to come inside the building, but we're going to get creative. We have lots of technology. We'll be doing some classroom Zooms. We'll find a way to make parents feel a part of the process. And also I think K staggered entry is going to help that because half the kids the first day, and I know our kindergarten teachers are going to be all over it, and all of our teachers, as a matter of fact, of how we can make parents feel a part of the process. Some of the teachers were already asking, how can I do parent volunteers? Can I do that virtually? So we're looking at creative ways to make sure that parents stay included in the process while we are limiting visitors in the building at this point in time. So yes, that is totally on our radar for both questions, and we will find ways to make sure that parents feel included and that parents can understand and know like what their child's experience is going to be like during the day. So we are planning on in person. Yes, students will be using technology, but they will be using paper as well. They will be doing all of our theater strategies inside their classrooms. So, you know, it's not just all day long virtual if they're in person. It is not. And we're hoping to shift some of the virtual to not always virtual. Maybe there's 20 minutes of this. Nice, like break it up all day so that students have a chance to stretch. Students have a chance to relax. Students have a chance to kind of take a break from the screen. But there will always be work to do. So it will be organized. I hope that answers your question for now.
Yeah, right. For now, it does.
For now, for today, yes.
Yep, just for today, because something could change tomorrow. But my other question is, and I know a lot of parents probably have this question as well, is we know kindergarten, the bathrooms were inside the classroom. Again, these are first graders along with second and third graders. I want to know, I called the school and they, couldn't really, the bathroom.
Okay.
What are you doing?
So let me talk a little bit about the bathroom. So
who's monitoring?
Yeah, so right now what we're doing is trying to limit the bathrooms to just a core group. So like, for example, the bathrooms that are where the first grade will be limited to those students. And on top of that, we will be doing additional cleaning. In addition to that, I know that our facilities is looking into different toilet seats. And we're also going to be teaching kids about it. Like if you go into the bathroom and it doesn't look right, then you're gonna alert somebody. So the most important thing is to teach the students, like, if you see this in the bathroom, don't use it. Like, here's a clean bathroom. This is what a clean bathroom looks like. And if it doesn't look like this, you need to tell someone. And on top of that, we are going to be cycling through bathrooms, cleaning constantly throughout the day, because we know that's a major point. But between the upgraded toilet covers, additional cleaning, and educating children about what they should be doing and what they should see, and if they see something that's not clean enough, then they need to alert somebody. So we're hoping with all of those things in place, we can mitigate, some of those factors and risks.
Right. I know with social distance and everything, but is someone monitoring when the kids are in the bathroom?
Oh, yes.
Going like that was my question. They have to go to the bathroom.
At the bathroom, none of that's happening. So we are scheduling things but of course kids can go to the bathroom when they need to go to the bathroom. But the bottom line is, it's all going to be sequenced out so that you're not going to see 5 or 6 kids waiting for the bathroom. That's not going to happen. And then there is going to be frequent cleanings in the bathroom so that we can make sure that the bathroom is as clean as we can make it for kids.
Okay. But there's no adult supervision in the bathroom. Like if they have to go, is there someone standing outside the door?
No, I know with our youngest learners, sometimes they need support, and we have paras and we have their teachers. With our youngest, our Ks and our 1s and any of our special populations, we certainly will have support for that if they need it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Ahrens, it is 5:51, so I know parents have to get onto the other meetings.
Yes.
Since this Zoom is being saved, there are multiple questions. I've tried to get to most of them, but I'm going to log them and reply via email to the parents who I didn't connect with. And I apologize I didn't connect. They came in fast and furiously, but I got to a lot of people. Okay. But I do have a record of them, and I will respond via email.
Okay, great. And I also think in this time period that we're going to be looking to create a platform for parents who have questions at any time. And do know you can email me directly at any time with any question that you might have. And if I don't have the answer to that question, I will work to find the answer to that question. So that is not a problem. But throughout this process, we also want to just gather questions, because again, the questions that came in earlier over the last several weeks really helped us to create a strong plan for the school. So we appreciate the questions because it helps us just kind of waylay fears. The bottom line is, as I close out tonight, I just want to say it's really a community effort. I applaud the parents who have, we've really flattened this curve here in Norwalk, and we want to keep it flat. You have been doing all the right things at home. You have been isolating your children.
Ms. Ahrens.
We are doing those same things in school as well. So we're trying to replicate the work that you're doing at home.
Ms. Ahrens, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Arusha's mom, and he's going to go to fourth grade. And I have a question for you. Like I emailed you also, and I did the chat also that we are deciding to switch our decision instead of sending to school. We trying to do remotely. But what I heard today, as remotely people who's going to be remotely, they're not actually going to be active that much. So, what is your your anticipate, like what is the best which you can promise, like as a parent I'm asking you, like I have two kids and I have a younger son which is 2 years old, so I'm just not gonna unsave the both lives. So just in case if we want to switch it, so what is the procedure if I wanted to switch now?
Okay, so I want to make sure, I might have to just connect with you offline to answer every part of your question, but I want to talk about switching. So, switching from in-person to remote is very simple. Switching from remote to in-person takes a little bit longer because we have to make sure that we have the space set up. So when we're trying to keep our numbers down, and our space may require an additional expanded classroom, which may mean a classroom shift. So we are asking for a little more time in order to make that happen. And I want to say that time frame was about 2 weeks to shift from remote to in-person, because we may actually have to change the physical layout of the classroom that your child is entering in. But to go from in-person to remote is very quick because your child already knows the teacher, your child already knows kind of the daily operations. But with regard to your other question, I will certainly connect with you offline.
No problem. I understand.
It'll be a longer response. And I also think that I know that the other parents have to get to the middle school meetings, and I don't want to make them late for that.
I get it. No problem. Thank you so much.
No problem. So I just want to say on behalf of Dr. Henry and myself and the whole Wolfpit staff, we are so looking forward to having the kids back in. We are excited. I think that the school year is going to be great. We are preparing for this concurrent synchronous classroom, and we're already looking for innovative ways to make sure that all of our students are engaged, our students who are remote learners, our students who are in person, our students with special needs, our students who are learning the language. So we're taking into account everyone, and we just really want to have this instructional plan in place for students when they come in, because they haven't been in the school building in a while. So, we're ready for them. We're ready to welcome them back. And we're excited to be innovative with our instruction so that students have the best experience possible. So 20 years from now, when they think back, remember COVID, we want them to have a really pleasant experience. So we're looking forward to welcoming your students back into the building. And again, we're here at any time. Please feel free to email, call, and we will respond to your questions. So I thank you so much for this time this evening, and I look forward to seeing you all in person very soon. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much for working so hard to get this year going. We appreciate it.
Welcome. It's been a joy. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a joy, and the team is awesome. So I'm looking forward to opening the doors.